And then when you did Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore, which I also have here. But you had mentioned that you had auditioned. Was it for Ellen Burstyn's husband, or was it for the Harvey Keitel part initially?
No, it was. I had my I think it was my third book of poetry published a couple of months before that, and Scorsese came to the reading. It was at the Bridge in East Hollywood, and after there were about 80 people there. After it was over, he came up to me. He said, "I have a part for you for my next film." And he said, somewhat like Boxcar Bertha. So he called me in to Warner Brothers, and I auditioned for the part Billy Bush did. And at one time he was thinking of having me at that part and Billy Bush in the Chris Christopherson part. And I had just split up with my wife, and this feeds into Mean Streets too. I had all that anger within me. And so that was like Mean Streets, the same thing in this one. And so I probably was a little too much. And I went home and I called up Marty and I said, I'm better than that. I think I did too much. And he said, that's all right. He said, I know you're a good actor. And then he decided to give, Chris Christopherson, movie star, to play the man that she ends up with, and Billy Bush that. And an interesting thing too about Billy and I, as I think I mentioned, was in the Frank Corsaro class.
Yeah.
And I had invited him to a party that Marty was also going to be at. And I introduced him to Marty before that. And Billy sang a song. And so Billy did a fabulous job. Everybody in that picture did a great job. And one thing I would just like to say about that, if I may, the movie, I get to Phoenix. And so that night after supper, I'm walking home across the motel grounds, and Marty is coming out or going into his motel room. He said, Harry, come on in. Let's talk about the scene we're going to shoot tomorrow. So I went in there, and he only had one other book in the suite, the outer room. I'm sure there was a bedroom back there, but outside in that living room, if that's what it was, there was one book, and that was the poetry and prose of William Blake. And you remember in Mean Streets, Tiger, the tiger and all that. And Scorsese, he has that same type of energy as William Blake. Blake said, energy is eternal delight. And you walk alongside of Marty, you just feel this, just like his movies, you feel this tremendous energy inside himself. And so he got out the script, he looked at it, he said, we'll just keep it simple. And then he told me something interesting about his vision. He said, I'm shooting each scene with a parable behind it. I mean, we know he was a religious person. Right. And then we got on the set the next day. I walked in, and the clothes I was wearing were things that I chose. As I said earlier, I worked in a waiter in New York City, and this guy was a bartender, Jim and Joe's bartender. So I had a navy shirt, like the one Christopher Jones used to wear, and a white cross tie. I knew Marty would like it, the cross and all that. And I wore my jeans and boots, and Marty loved the clothes. And then, so right before we shot it, he said to me, I'm going to shoot this film. This is a close-up, so don't move much. And then he said, I'm going to shoot this. The red lights up above will reflect off your blue shirt. So I'm just standing there thinking, he's got everything covered, and it just made me feel so relaxed. And then he introduced me to Ellen, and then I just said hello, and I didn't want to hang out with her because I wanted to just do the scene as if it were the first time.
Right.
And that came out really good. And then, months later, I saw Marty at Warner Brothers, and he said that was the only scene that he shot that was also on the screen 1-to-1. He didn't touch, whatever it was he shot was on the screen 1-to-1.
Well, what I love so much about that scene is, because I think what's so great about you as an actor, Harry, is how much behavior you bring to the scene. Because when she says to you, I'm a singer looking for a job, you begin to laugh. You're like amused that this woman would be looking for a job in this bar as a singer. But then you're intrigued at the same time when you say, are you really a singer? So, I now, did that just come out of doing the scene? The fact that you sort of were amused by the fact that she was looking for a singing job, or was Scorsese specific with you taking it that way? I don't know if you would remember or not.
I do remember. Scorsese has never really indicated for me to do anything other than just what I do.
Right. As you mentioned. Yeah.
the only two things I ever remember, one time in Taxi Driver, I put my hands up like this to describe something. He said, "Don't put your hands up like that." And then the first scene in Taxi Driver was a 6-page scene, and I hadn't worked for a couple of months. I was somewhat hyper, and he just came over and put his hands on my shoulder and just said, "Relax." Those are the only two things. He always really liked me, but I just, I had worked in that position before, as I said, so I knew what this character would feel like. And here comes
Right.
a person into the place, and so I just really basically listened to Ellen.
No, it's a really, really wonderful scene. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. I want to thank all of my members on Patreon. If you're interested in becoming a member of my Patreon, head over to the link, patreon.com/Robert Bellissimo at the movies for full details. You can also leave a donation directly to my YouTube channel by pressing the thanks link, which you will find directly below the video frame beside the like, comment links. Just click the thanks link, and from there, you can leave a donation if you choose to. And lastly, if this is your first time here, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. It is absolutely free to do so. By pressing the Robert Bellissimo at the Movies logo, you will see it floating above my head in the top left corner to your top left. In just a second, just click on that and then click the bell in order to get a notification every time I release one of my new episodes. Thank you so much, everyone. I will see you in the next episode.